Hey guys, it's Zay, and I hope everybody out there is safe and is washing their nasty ass hands, and so on and so forth. We are all going through tough times at the moment, and some of us are even out of work or too uncomfortable to go to work at this time. Just make sure that you are all being good citizens and don't sneeze on no damn body, and if somebody sneezes on you, just punch them in the throat immediately. Just don't even hesitate. Go ahead, don't be shy. You don't need the plague too. Matter of fact, just stay home. Well, anyway, before I start with the point of my video, I'd like to thank a few people for helping me with inspiration. A friend Adela, who has been pushing me to make videos since this channel's beginning, and a fellow YouTuber by the name of Febrith, who does Skyrim house tour videos, and her videos always seem to relax me, especially in these hard times, so thank you, Feb. I hope you get to watch this, and maybe you'll check out the series. Besides that, today I'm going to be starting a new series on the channel. It's going to be a driven Skyrim playthrough. What does driven mean exactly? Well, the character that I'm going to be playing as will have a pretty tragic backstory with a few very big goals to accomplish. Before we start with the tragic part, let me introduce you to our character's family. Shouldn't take too long. My character's name is Xaveras, the half-elf. And as you can tell by the name, he is half-elf and half-man. Half-Nord and half-High Elf to be precise. But I'm sure you will be well acquainted with our unstoppable character with an attitude and a sense of humor here shortly. Our mom was an ex-leader of the Thalmor, and she escaped because she no longer believed in the cause, and in the horrible things they were doing to men and elves alike. She was a master in the schools of destruction, restoration, conjuration, illusion, and alteration. And the weirdest thing about all of it, she was a pure-blooded vampire. She was ancient, but still beautiful, of course, being immortal and unable to age. She was so skilled that she could turn her body into that of a mortal using a spell. She never craved blood like a normal vampire. She was way too past that. Her body became accustomed to it. In fact, the Thalmor never knew. Her name was Irenea, and she was the most skilled magic user probably ever. Her character's father was a general in the Imperial Legion. He was a master swordsman and marksman, and the man was so motivating, he could lead 10 soldiers into a battle versus 50, and he would believe with his whole heart they would win. Just like Irenea, well, he had a unique side as well. He was a werewolf. Though he kept this a secret, it definitely had its advantages in battle. After the Great War ended in failure and the Empire signed the White Gold Concordat, he stayed and took the Thalmor's nonsense for too long. He lost control and transformed and slaughtered the whole fort of Thalmor. He was eventually put down by the elves. They called for backup, and there were far too many to handle. My father's name was Ramyork, and he was a Nord. He was in prison, and it so happens that our mother at the time was located at the same fort. She thought that if she were to leave the Thalmor, she could help him escape. He piqued her interest, and she admired what the man did. She went into Ramyork's cell and pretended to interrogate him. She quietly opened a portal. Ramyork didn't like the idea of an elf helping him, but he was forever grateful. They both exchanged their reasoning in wanting to leave the Thalmor side. Our father's simply being out of hate, and our mother's being strictly out of disgust. Despite being what she was no racist, and believed everyone was equal. Elves and men, vampires and men. It didn't matter to her. They all bled the same. Ramyork was caught off guard by how Irenea acted, and he wanted to get closer to her. They both soon realized that they were so different, but so similar. I won't get into the juicy details, but yes, they eventually fell in love. They were the living and breathing proof that elves and man, and hell, even vampire and werewolf could coexist and even love one another. They both went into exile as this relationship was strictly forbidden. Irenea conjured up a beautiful palace just beneath the throat of the world, and she also made it invisible to the outside world. She did have a spell that could give someone the ability to see the castle. She gave it to Ramyork, of course. They both were quite wealthy, coming from high ranks in their respective militaries, so they hired servants and guards. They named the castle Shellblatt Castle. This was their new home. They were married by the castle steward, Segovax, shortly after in the main hall. They had 2 beautiful children. They were twins, Xaveras and Xania. They played outside together, as weird as it was, both of them being half-elves and half-vampire and werewolves. Okay, quick disclaimer, guys. I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't have been born like that. Like, half vampire, half werewolf, but for the sake of my fantasy story, the two of them, they're both half vampire and werewolf. Okay? Moving on. Their mother gave them both matching necklaces made out of the most flawless of gold and diamonds, with a special enchantment on it, so they would never lose one another. Xaveras and Xania both trained under their parents to control their God-given power. They had tainted blood, but it only made them stronger. They learned very quickly. They vowed to get stronger and bring the world together as one in the end. One good deed leads to 1,000 others. Irenea always told them that. But as we always know, not everything can stay perfect all the time. One day Xaveras went down the mountain to do some training of his own. It was a successful day, as always, and he was gaining even more control of his unbelievable power. On his way back up the 7,000 steps, Xaveras smelled smoke. He rushed to the castle to find it in flames. It was the Thalmor, and they were being led into the front gates by a golden masked figure in red robes. Then something happened that shocked our character even more. A dragon flies, sending blazes and waves of flames to Shellblast. Xaveras uses his blink ability to get into the castle. He fights through the waves of Thalmor. The masked man was nowhere to be seen. After the Thalmor were defeated by his hand, he hears a faint cry. He turns around to see something burned into his memory to this day. His sister. She was lying there, burnt to a crisp. Before he could even say anything to her, she was gone. Xaveras started to cry. He grabs her necklace off of her corpse, but he had to find the man that did this. He needed to find the man in the red robes. He used the teleporters his mother created to get to the living quarters. He enters from the portal. He sees the man in the mask climbing onto the back of a dragon. He vanished before Xaveras could reach him. He reaches the balcony to find his mother and father laying there, almost lifeless. Ramyork utters the last words he'll ever say to his son. Son, no matter what you do, don't seek vengeance. He's far too powerful. The Emperor has connections that you wouldn't believe. He knew we were here the whole time. His soul leaves from his body, as Irenea says, Xaveras, that man in the red robes, he was after you. He said that you were the only one who can stop him. I'm not sure what he means, but use your power and make this world the world that you and I both know it can be someday. His mother passed away in his arms. This man, or whoever it was, murdered them on their balcony in cold blood. It's been 7 years since that day. Xaveras repaired the castle and has installed some new areas as well. He has been training and honing his skills in the barracks area of Shellblast. He had his blacksmith create armor for him to resemble that of half-elf, half-man. A sword hot as molten lava, and a bow that which resembles the heart of his lost sister. She took on the shape of a werebear when she transformed, so the bow has a bear sculpted into the bottom of it to represent her. Xaveras sets off on an adventure to get some answers and make the world a better place. Like his mother always said, one good deed leads to 1,000 others. His goals are to kill the Emperor. Yes, I said that right. So he's thinking about joining the Dark Brotherhood. They would do nicely to get him close enough to do so. And killing the man in the red robes with the gold mask is his main goal. Other adventures will be a plus, but those are the main priority. And there it is, guys, the backstory of the character that I created. I had this idea about a year ago, and I hope you guys like it, and I hope you join me in the series. The character will start out as level 81 since he is overpowered by nature anyhow. He will be able to transform into a vampire lord and werewolf at the same time, so it should be a lot of fun, and hopefully a lot of fun to watch as well. I'm gonna go drink a gallon of water now because I'm dehydrated from all this damn talking. It's gonna take me a little bit to set up everything and have to figure out what I'm gonna do about some other things, and the series should start in a couple of days. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Stay humble, and until next time, guys. Hot as Mulvin.